Welcome to the last video of this DVD series. In this video I want to talk about the alternatives, but also about the move orders. Because as I mentioned in some of the videos, I said that I just played against someone who normally doesn't play the Panov with black. And that's because I move ordered them. For example, with the move c6. Well, c4, and then you can just play e4. d5, and then you can just capture and play the move d4, and then again we're back in the Panov. What's also a possibility is, for example, some of the slower lines. I got, for example, something like this a few times in my life, and then if they take here. And then again we are back in the Panov. So from lots of different openings with from 1d4, 1c4, also from some Nimzo positions you can get to those types of positions. So that's just good to know, and you can just experiment a little bit with it, and just in the preparation you can outsmart your opponent and get them in this line if you feel comfortable with the Panov. So okay, let's take at the normal lines. But here also c4 again, just the same position. There's also an extra possibility I wanted to say. That's that you can take just twice. Instead of playing d4, which is a move order, of course, to our repertoire, you can also decide just to take, and that's also an extra option. Knight f3, knight c6. Well, black can decide to take or not to take. If he goes for this fianchetto idea, well, we have some extra advantage because we can just try to defend it in this way, and in many cases our bishop will be under the attack, but we simply can defend it with the move d3. So this is also a very nice idea. Just to give you a few moves, knight bd7, we just play d3 and enjoy a nice position. So knight a6 is better, but then knight f4, d4, b6. And here white has just two good options, rook e1 or a4. And well, you can just take a look at yourselves at this line. In the PGM files I added some extra notes about it, so you can check it out. So here knight takes d5 is the other move. Or you just play knight f3, and after knight c6, d4. Well, we will transpose to the main line of this video, which I will just show a little bit later. How that's gonna work out. Still, here are just some moves. For example, g6, queen b3, e6 transposes to one of the videos about this g6 and e6 line. Well, after takes, that's the extra option black has. Well, we play bishop c4. There are two moves in the position. Knight d5, we just take, and we take here. And it's just a pretty similar position to which we already had, with the plans just to stop those pawns from advancing, and then try to hit this pawn. And also e6 immediately, but then we take with the pawn, and well, white is just doing really well in this position. One of the games where I was, which I saw when I was at the tournament in Hogeveen in Holland, they always have those matches between some pretty strong players, and this was the match in 2018 between Sweetler against Shankland. And well, Sweetler just played a brilliant game in my eyes, and well, the game is also in the PGM files. So take a look at that one. Well, then I think it's just time to go back and to check the other main line we have. And that's with the move knight f3. In our repertoire, I recommended to move bishop g5, but well, I think I just have to show some of the ideas between the knight f3 move. So if you prefer this, you can also analyze it and play it by yourself. Well, after the move e6, well, after bishop g5, we simply transpose to our repertoire. But here is a better version of the main line. Again, because the bishop is still on c1. And here we can just play c5, and it's just a much better version. And this knight e4 move, as in our main line, isn't as good because, well, there are no bishops to be exchanged. And after c5, white already has some advantage. So after knight f3, bishop g4 is the main line. And this forces, in most of the games, to an endgame. Well, pawn takes, knight takes, queen b3. Here, bishop takes f3 is the main move. Knight b6 is a little bit of a dubious alternative. Well, you can both play bishop e3, but also d5, takes, knight d4. You give a check, and you can just go for this position. Just way ahead in development, so you're just playing for active pieces. And well, the fact that your pawns are damaged, well, it's just one of the downsides, but I think, well, it's just a nice position you can also play. But the main line here goes with bishop takes, pawn takes, and then the move e6. This is known as the Panov endgame. And, well, the endgame will be entered after queen takes b7, knight takes d4, bishop b5 check, knight takes. Now we don't take because of queen d7, but we first give a check just to annoy the king a little bit. And then there are some options. The endgame will be reached after queen takes, queen d7, knight takes d5, queen takes d5, queen takes, pawn takes. And this is just the starting position of this famous endgame. Well, black's pawn structure is healthier than white's, but white has some pawns over here, some majority. This can be weak at some point because bishop e3 can be played, and then it's harder for the rook to develop. And since the king is still in the middle of the board, white is still just playing for active play. So, for example, one of the games I saw between some strong grandmasters, Alexandrov against Volkov. It's many years ago, and I played in the year 2000 in Minsk, in Belarus. There was white played castles, and after king e6 to develop the bishop, there was a check. The king went to d7, rook d1. Actually, king d7 immediately, rook d1 is just a transposition. The king went to e6, and now white went on to get some initiative. And well, this pawn is pretty weak. And at some point, well, white just outplayed black, and well, here the game ended. Probably a little bit early to resign, but well, you can see that there are lots of problems with the king. In many cases you can win the pawn, and this pawn is always under attack. So black has lots of problems to develop his pieces, but if he plays precisely, he should manage to make a draw out of it. Then one of the moves I personally like is not queen takes b5, but the move queen c5 check. Well, black has the extra option of knight d6. After queen d6, you just take here, and still you can just go for the castle. We more or less have the Panov endgame, but somehow we got two extra queens on the board. And well, as we already saw, the black king was a little bit exposed and has more problems. So I want to make that red. So you can imagine that Then with the queens on the board, this is just favoring white. So, but therefore, after this check, knight d6 is just saving the piece. But it's a nice line. You can just check this one very deep, try to memorize it and play it. Because black is under lots of pressure. He's a piece up, but as you can see, well, what are his pieces doing? And his king is still in the middle. So for example, queen b6 is an idea. We take, and here black has two ways to defend. He has to move rook c8 and to move queen b7. Well, first let's check out the move queen b7. We give a check and we play bishop f4. Well, we just play bishop f4 in all the lines, so that's pretty easy. Attacking the knight, and sometimes we just can go back to g3, also protecting our king. Rook e8, queen a5. And here, for example, rook e6, we give a check. The king goes back. After a move like knight b5, there's a really nice line I wanted to show where we can actually trap the knight. We give a check on d1, the bishop goes to d6, we take it, the king takes, we give a check on f4, now a check on f5, rook c1 check, the king has to move to b8, we give a check on f4, and after the move a4, somehow the knight is trapped, and this is one of the lines, well, I think it's a pretty funny one. That doesn't happen that often, that you're just attacking, and then somehow in the end of the line, when the king went to a safe place, you just trap the knight. So I wanted to show this one. Well, after king d8, which is a better move, we also go for rook d1. And one of the good things to remember is that well, black can go for this queen b7 move with rook e8 followed. Then the rooks go to d1 and c1. Then the other line, the rook will go to c8, and then we go to d1 and e1. So here we go to d1 and c1. So let's continue a few more moves. h4, rook h6, and well, here black is holding in this position, but well, the king can't really escape. So I just think that white has has more than enough compensation, or at least enough compensation for the piece. And black has to find lots of hard moves, and if you just know the basic plan with white, well, that can't go that much wrong. And also, if you like calculation, you think you're really good in out-calculating your opponent, then this is definitely one of the lines you should try at least once. Well, as I said, there's also another defense, and that's so with the rook move rook c8. Then again, bishop f4, rook c5. We go back to d2. That's an important one. Rook f5, and now in the other one we went with the rooks to d1 and c1, and here to d1 and e1. So king d7, because we threat something over here. Well, just go here with the rook, bishop g3, and now, well, unfortunately we have to make a draw here, but still, well, you just can test black's knowledge here. So we give a check on d7, and then it's just a perpetual, because both sides just go to b7 and a6. So, well, this was also one of the things I wanted to show you. I think the Panov is just a very flexible opening, because first of all you can get into the Panov because there are many different move orders. You can start with c4, with d4, with knight f3 even, or the move e4. And furthermore, you have multiple options in all the lines. I think there are lots of options. When there was just definitely one of the best moves or the best lines, then, well, I just gave one line. If black had some could put up a good fight, then I just gave few lines to play and some options. And also here I really like it that if you want to play the Panov, you can also just go for this knight f3 line. I think it's just less theory, and well, that can be one of the reasons why you want to study this line. Just a pretty small one, and well, then you can just go to the end game, or you go to or to the line I just showed with the perpetual in the end. But still, I always like this this bishop g5 move, just like Kasparov played it, and well, I think I will just continue like that. Probably sometimes I will go for knight f3, but yeah, so far it's just a really nice attacking opening against the Panov, and well, I hope you enjoyed it, the whole series, and that I gave you some some new knowledge, a new weapon to play with, and that you're ready to make use of it in the battlefield. So thanks for watching, and well, I hope we see each other in some other videos or other DVDs.